Hey guys, sorry I'm a couple of minutes late, trying to finish up some Facebook ads with one of our students. Today we're going to be focused on the who, what, when, where do they buy, right? We're going to be thinking about using these AI tools to help us determine a little more about like who exactly is our market. Like who is the actual person on the other side of the screen that is buying stuff from us, right? And so that changes based off of who you sell to, right? And so in order to understand our audience and kind of what they want and everything like that, the best case scenario would be if we could actually just directly ask our audience. Like if we were in the room with our audience and we could just be like, "What do you want?" And they just told us what they wanted. That would be best case scenario. But many times we aren't in a room full of people that want to buy what we're selling and we're not necessarily in front of our audience, and we might need to use like data around us to infer what they want to buy, who they are, when they're buying, why they're buying, etc. So let's structure a prompt to help us answer this question, and let's use a example that I think many people will understand in terms of like many people in here have done sentimental products or gifts before in the past. So let's target maybe um, a mother to daughter product and figuring out like, okay, who, what, when, where, and why, is someone going to buy this mother to daughter product? The fastest way I think we could send a good amount of information over to ChatGPT or Gemini. Let's do it on both. I think we should give it a product link for what we're selling. So, to my daughter blanket. This could be a Shopify link, an Amazon link, an Etsy link. It doesn't matter, but I'm just going to grab this one right here. And this would be for what you're selling. So wherever you're selling, whatever link you need to throw in here, this is for your product. And then I'm going to say, help me write a prompt to understand or let's say to answer who, what, when, where, and how. And determine the ideal target customer and audience for this product. Now, it could be any product. It could be a heated vest that you are drop shipping. It could be content as currency related digital product. It could be a digital product you're selling to someone and you're wondering who is going to be most interested in it, etc. I'm just using one product as an example. And we'll do the same thing over here with Gemini too. All right, and then it writes a prompt for us. I can use this prompt now, so I can copy and paste it, and then it says right here to paste my product link here. So once again, copy, paste. Now shout out to all the pros that already know that we could turn this into a custom GPT or a project very easily. These are instructions that we could give to a project or a custom GPT, and we could create a custom GPT to where we don't have to do this again. We can just put in the product link and then it does all this stuff here for us automatically. But let's go ahead and send it in. Let's run it. Same thing over here on Gemini. It gave us a similar prompt. Or it actually, I think it did a full analysis for us here. I don't really like what it came back with. I mean, it does have some information here. For Gemini, I think we'd be best off running deep research on something like this. So deep research. And let's put in the full prompt. and then we're gonna run deep research on that. So if you missed my class on deep research, I think that was like Monday. You should be able to go back and watch deep research, but it's very simple. It's anytime you want extra power behind your LLMs, behind your AIs, turn on that deep research. All right, so who is it intended for? It's intended for daughters, framed explicitly as a gift from dad with father-daughter symbolism. Likely purchaser would be fathers. Secondary might be stepdads, granddads, and moms. The end user, daughter. Emotional identity and levers. Protection and steadfast love, so blue lion. And then some different sentiments that are in the message. It taps pride, reassurance, nostalgia, and rite of passage. So what is, what's the value behind this? It goes into depth there. What's the value behind this? Tangible reminder of dad's love, comfort at a new home, when, all the occasions when someone might be buying this. Buyer thought trigger, which is anticipating separation, like college, like a daughter hitting a milestone, like going off to college. I didn't even think about something like that, but it's true. Someone that might be interested in buying this would be around that age range, around that demographic. So another way of putting this is what we call an ideal target customer or ideal target avatar. And the idea would be like, let's actually try and imagine the one person that's on the other side of this screen, and who are they most likely to be? What do they most likely care about? What are their hopes, dreams, fears, pains? What do they want to gain? All those things. So demographics, probably a dad, 35 to 65, middle class income, family oriented, U.S. suburban or heartland skew. So this is demographics. Demographics would, kind of self-explanatory. Psychographics, right? This is more like values and like psychologically what's going on. So values protection, guidance for their daughter, leaving a legacy, and then wants their daughter to feel seen or safe. I can try and paste the prompt in the chat for you, but it's going to be really long. So, all right, give me 1 second. I'll paste the prompt for you. Yeah, it's going to be ridiculously long. I'm not going to paste the prompt in the chat. It's going to be way too long. Sorry, guys. It's way too long. You guys are just going to have to ask ChatGPT to write it for you. I'm not going to spend 5 minutes putting the prompt in the chat. All right, so psychographics, we covered that. Triggers, upcoming Christmas, graduation, birthdays, college send-off, tough season. Like, if you want my original prompt, I can give you my original prompt. It's right here. And just put that into ChatGPT, and then you should be good. Oh, man. Get rid of this. Thank you. All right. So great. It gave us all this information. How can we really use this information? If you don't want to just, I highly recommend you do. I highly recommend you take a second to read through this and really understand it. But even if you don't want to do that and you just want to use this information somehow, one of the best ways would be maybe to do something like create 3 example avatars of who would buy this, and then write, let's say 2 different Facebook ads for each avatar. Or you could say TikTok posts or YouTube videos or whatever. Like, the idea being that we're going to build out like avatar 1, which is sentimental dad Mike, 52, married, blue collar, middle America, daughter just left for college or lives far away. And then it gives us ad ideas. It says, okay, here's an emotional storytelling version of if we're targeting sentimental dad Mike, which is a fake person, but also at the same time is like somewhere out there is a guy named Mike who's 52, who's married, who's blue collar. So there is like an ideal person out there that matches this demographic, right? Like almost assuredly. Like, So anyway, I hope you like it's we're pretending, but we're also like understanding that this is an actual person that's out there somewhere. So like, okay, anyway, emotional storytelling version here. So when she left for college, I wanted her to have something that would remind her every single day that her old man still has her back. This isn't just a blanket; it's a hug that she can wrap. Okay, so it's like a storytelling type. This is primary text. And so it's just giving us primary text, but what if it actually gave us like add ideas as well? Actual add creative / visual ideas as well. Write prompts that I could use to generate AI images, image mockups with this product. Like, you can start to ask it to do other things for you and generate other things for you based off of those demographics that you built out. All right. So it recreates our avatars, but this time it's actually going to give us an AI image prompt with this as well too. So it kind of gives you a prompt that maybe you could hand off to an AI art tool, add a photo of the product. Let's try it. Jump in here, throw in a quick photo of our product. And let's just see if it works. So we're using ChatGPT for this one. We can also do the same thing over here. I'll put this prompt in the chat. It's much shorter. I'll put this prompt in the chat, and then I'm going to go over to Gemini, do the same thing, and then I need to start deep research. So let's do that. Paste that prompt, do tools, do create image, add file, and then add in the blanket image, and then send in the same prompt. This one should only take a few seconds, so let's just let it generate. The prompt is realistic photo of a father, mid-50s, light beard, casual plaid shirt, handing a soft blue flannel to, with a heart, yeah, okay, in front of a packed car. Okay, so the blanket's a little bit small, but I like the concept that we're working with here. Like the idea that like she's like we get context, right? There's context clues, like the packed car in the background, the way she's like emotionally reacting and everything. So I like the way this looks. The only thing we would need to fix is make sure that it doesn't look like a toddler blanket and that it's actually like the right size. But otherwise, I like the concept of this. Let's see what ChatGPT comes back with. Let's just try make the blanket larger than the people. Let's just see if it'll like increase the size of the blanket quite a bit. Probably not the best way to prompt this, but we'll see if it gets what I'm trying to say. There we go. Now it kind of took out some of the context clues of the packed car. So, I mean, it's not that bad though. Like, honestly, this is still much better. Now, the message is kind of messed up on the blanket itself, so I don't think I would use this. What I would probably do is hand this off to someone on Fiverr and be like, can you just give me a template, like a template mock-up where I can swap any image onto this and basically test out a bunch of To My Dad blankets, right? Or To My Daughter blankets, right? So, like, this is just a concept, and then I hand it off to someone on Fiverr, and then they make like a template. Now, if you know how to do that, I guess we could probably even do that in Canva. It's so easy now. Like download full size real quick. Now I'm curious. I gotta go try it.
Next is medicine.
Create, and then let's upload. And we're gonna upload this one here. Then we're gonna use in a new design, custom size, create a new design. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do an edit. We're gonna go ahead and try and do a magic eraser on.
With one of your doctors.
One second, I just want to see something. Magic edit. Yeah, let's try the magic eraser here. I don't know if this is gonna be exactly what we need, but. Yeah, not exactly what I was hoping for. This is just gonna erase basically the blanket and put something behind it, so that's not really what I'm looking for.
Twice a week. They say.
The idea would be that we would come in here into like one of our tools and we would wipe out the blanket and make it transparent, and then we could swap in a design. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic. So it basically gave us what we asked for. It just kind of messed up the blanket itself. Let's go look at ChatGPT, see how it did. It said something went wrong, and then it generated a very orange toned photo with also text that looks kind of messed up. So technically correct, but still not quite what we're looking for. So anyway, kind of interesting though, like, but I want you to set aside the fact that it's not perfect, and I want you to think about how we came to this prompt here. We didn't just say like let's generate a random photo for Facebook ads. We said who's most interested in buying this, when would they be most interested in buying it, in what scenario would they be gifting it, and then we came and ChatGPT gave us a prompt that was basically like have a dad giving it to his daughter as she's going off to college. Now the next one is like basically a flat lay photo. So this one might work better. Like this one's simpler. It's like a flat lay photo of the blanket, wrapped up with a note that says "Love Dad," stuff like that. I don't really know how that one necessarily would work. That one probably isn't the best. Avatar 3 would be grandfather. Legacy of Love is the theme. And so with this one, it's a realistic photo of an elderly grandfather sitting on a wooden porch swing, holding a blue flannel blanket folded neatly in a gift box. Yeah, again, with the gift box stuff, we don't want it folded. If we wanted to be specific, we could say the visual aspects of the ad should clearly display the message on the blanket. And then it should regenerate those ads, like the visual parts. It should regenerate it to actually be only like, examples of it being held out in front of itself. The blanket being held out. Okay, so this one works. It provided some alternate prompts for us as well. Okay, anyway, you kind of get the idea. Let's see if Gemini has wrapped up the deep research, because this is where we can start to get a lot of information. Let's see this one here. Let me refresh. I think it's this one here, actually. Okay, there we go. All right. I'm not going to go through all this. I know it's a lot. But the idea being that this report right here, even if you don't want to read it, you can download it and then you can feed it back to your AI and you can ask it questions. So let's do something a little bit different. Instead of me reading through all this and everything like I normally do, let's just go ahead and trust the, we're just going to skip reading. Who needs that, right? We're just going to trust it. And then we're just going to create. And then if we want like something visual from this to be able to see kind of like, visually, I don't know how that would really work with this one. It's not really that data heavy, I guess, but you have options like audio.
Will it ever read for us? Can you ask Chat to read it to us? Does that ever work?
You can do an audio overview like this right here. So let's see if it starts reading to us here. It's still being generated. But also,
you don't need to take time for it. I just quickly asked. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. And then I would just go ahead and we can export this to docs. So let's export it to docs. Instead of, taking time to go through it ourselves, maybe we just export it. And then from here, I would probably just go ahead and throw this into a markdown document. I know it's kind of weird how we like save it to docs and then we're going to go to file, download, and then markdown. Markdown allows us to download this to our computer and then basically give it back to ChatGPT or Gemini. And I mean, honestly, we don't even really need to do that inside of this project because I could start asking it questions here, and I don't really need to necessarily re-upload it. It's already here, you know, I don't need to re-upload it in this chat. But if I wanted to build out like a project where I wanted to include that analysis in the project files, then I could use those project files. So like, for example, over here in ChatGPT, you go and you create a new project and you name it my, let's just say like dad to daughter, target audience, something like that. Or even just like your product that you're selling. So like you could name the project like what it is that you're selling. So you could do dad to daughter blue lion blanket. Create project. And then let's say this project here is where you keep everything organized for your dad to daughter blue lion blankets. Like this is your space to make the most out of that product that you possibly can. And so you could add files and then add in that analysis that we just did. And then now ChatGPT has this information and this analysis saved in its memory for this project. So if I say something like, basically like, who is most likely to purchase or give me, let's say, give me Facebook ads demographic targeting. I'm launching new ads today. So you go to your project, you're like, I need to launch Facebook ads, and then right here it says, based on the detailed analysis in your file, where did that come from? That is the file that we uploaded. And so it says, here's a ready to launch Facebook ads demographic targeting strategy. And then it pulls out like, you know, we should be targeting men 40 to 68, parents of adult children, specifically daughters, which by the way, guys, that's an interest category on Facebook ads. Yep. If you look at the interest section and you type in parents of adult children, this is an actual interest in Facebook ads. At least it used to be. I don't know, they've gotten stricter over the years. Maybe they've removed it, but this is an actual thing that you can target in Facebook ads. Location, this is less important, but it does give us the big 4 English-speaking countries. The big 5 would include New Zealand. So big 5 is United States, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand for English-speaking countries. For e-commerce. I'm not talking about anything else. I'm just talking about e-commerce sales. United States #1, Canada #2, Australia, UK, don't really get a lot of traffic from those places. I don't even know if they exist, really. No, I'm just kidding. You guys heard the theory that Australia doesn't even exist? I'm just kidding. I'm just joking around. But New Zealand would be on this list as well, right? Okay, so device placements, right? It gives us where we should have these placements. You don't really need to worry about this too much, but yeah, kind of nice to see. Now this is where it gets into the nitty-gritty details. So it says behavioral and interest targeting that we could try out. Now this would literally be like hiring a Facebook ads manager or someone that, you know, kind of like me that launches ads and helps you get like a higher return on investment and stuff. Like this is one of the things that you would be paying me for, or an advertising agency several $1,000s a month for. And this wouldn't be the only thing, but I'm saying this is one of the valuable things that you would get out of someone that you pay to do ads, is that they kind of maybe know some interest to test out and stuff. Now, with the caveat, I will say this is less important than it used to be. It can still be important when you have a brand new Facebook account or a Facebook business account and you're launching ads. Knowing like some interest targeting that is likely to be where your audience is hanging out can be beneficial at first. As you start to get sales, as you start to get purchases, you'll actually find that interest targeting starts to, like, you know, not give you the same returns as just simply letting Facebook target your audience for you, which is one of the advantages of Facebook ads. That's one of the benefits, is that it is laser locked in. Once it gets a few purchases, it will find your audience for you. So anyway, when you start a new Facebook account though, or a new business, and you start a new pixel, really is what it is, you may need to rely on, fatherhood as an interest to help you narrow down only people that are dads, so that you don't end up targeting people who aren't dads, because they're not going to buy. They're very, 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 very unlikely that they would buy. So you would only target people who maybe are fathers or are above a certain age range. I kind of prefer to do this, limit my age range, rather than go too far into like interest targeting sometimes. If you just target the likely age that your audience is going to fit within, you're going to hit the right people. Like Facebook will do the rest of the lifting. If you open this up to like 18 to 68-year-olds, you're allowing Facebook to show ads to people that are literally never going to be like interested in that product. And so age range restriction is almost more effective whenever I'm selling to parents or grandparents. I just limit the age range. Anyway. All right, let's keep moving. Custom audiences is when things really start to pick up for you on Facebook. You start to make lookalike audiences of past purchasers or website visitors who viewed that specific page. So like Gift for Daughters, you would make a lookalike audience of people who have bought for that specific product, or just people who have bought from your website in general. If you have a niched down website and you only really target one audience, you can just create lookalike audiences for your entire purchase catalog. If you have a very general store that has a lot of different products, then you might end up creating lookalike audiences for different demographics on your site. One lookalike might be for the blue gift to daughter blanket, and then you might have another lookalike audience that's for nieces or whatever, like for people gifting to their niece or something. So you have two different lookalike audiences for that. Anyway, kind of an advanced thing that you don't need to worry about until you're there. You don't need to do lookalike audiences until you have like at minimum like 10 to 15 sales in the past 7 days. Like past 7 to 10 days, like at least a sale per day, then you can start looking into maybe doing some lookalike audiences. Secondary targets, so some daughters will tag or show their ad to their dad. Ooh, that's interesting. Interesting tactic. I don't know that I've really tried this, but it might be worth, maybe trying out. If you could somehow, maybe the text for your ad is, daughters, if your dad is the best dad, like tag him so he sees this or something, and then that way they're like, targeting their dads, targeting their granddads, their stepdads, their adopted dad, all that stuff, and tagging them in the comments and stuff, right? That's kind of interesting. Show emotionally powerful creatives of the father giving the blanket, which triggers the daughter to tag or send the ad to her dad. One thing I think people underestimate too is the share metric side of like Facebook or really TikTok, YouTube, any platform these days. That little share button that you see is not what it used to kind of be. Like when I think of the share button, the first thing that comes to mind is almost like sharing a tweet. Like you click on share and then it goes to your page and then it's like there on your page. It's not really that anymore. It's not like someone's reposting it to their page. They're sharing it in the DMs, direct messages. They're sharing it in direct messages. They're also sharing it like as a link to other, like in text groups, like WhatsApp or your like texting. And so why am I even mentioning this at all? If you can get an ad that gets people to DM or share or comment and tag their dad, that's going to create an avalanche of engagement and you'll get a bunch of free traffic. Like think about it logically. If they're sending it out to other people and sharing it, then that means that those people will then click on that link because their dad, they love their daughter, their dad, they click on that link and then they go to your ad. You now have a 2-for-1. You're basically doubling your traffic because they're tagging their dad or their granddad or their mom or whoever, and then that traffic is also coming to your ad. So kind of interesting, might be something worth trying, but I would only do it on a small scale, like $5 a day, see how it works. Seasonal and emotional timing. So it's telling us here when our campaigns would be the best. So I totally agree with this. November to December is definitely the best time for heartfelt gift ads, but there's going to be a big resurgence in the spring for graduation and Father's Day, at least graduation. And then September, leaving for college campaigns. So you would shift your campaigns to be focused on like leaving for college, but then when you're at like November and December, you might shift your ads to be more focused on, like around the Christmas tree and they're giving a gift around the Christmas tree sort of thing. And then the year-round evergreen approach is when you can't find words, emotional comfort angle. So kind of interesting here. And so where did this all come from, right? Why is my ChatGPT so smart? Is it the prompts that I put in? Is this like a super secret hack prompts that I put in and it's giving me these really good results and these really good ideas? No, it's like I gave it a whole file from Gemini, all this stuff in here that we didn't read, that we didn't bother reading, has this information in here. And now by just asking it basic questions, we can basically extract what we need. Now, some of you might not be the type you might not be as nerdy as me, and you might not like reading through this stuff. And so you might just want to simply talk to your ChatGPT. Hey, so based off of this report, if I launch an ad that shows a dad giving the blanket to the daughter in front of a college campus, and the daughter is like crying a little bit, is that something that's going to be effective? And then also I was thinking about running an ad where the blanket is folded up and it's not visible and you can't really see it. And it's going to be a video ad, and it's going to be pretty hard to see what the blanket actually looks like. I don't know, something like that. Oh, whoops. Sorry, I ended my voice chat way too soon. But you get the idea. You could talk to your ChatGPT. Let's do it one more time with a simpler prompt. Hey, so I need to run some stuff by you, a couple ads that I'm going to be launching. So are you ready to kind of give me some feedback and some critique?
Absolutely. I'm all ears and ready to dive in. Just hit me with the details of those ads, and I'll give you some feedback and thoughts on them.
Okay, so it is for this daughter blanket that we're analyzing here. And I was thinking about one where maybe the dad is giving the blanket to the daughter for going off to college and stuff like that. Is it too late for that, or should I switch my targeting and my ads to be more like Thanksgiving and Christmas? Like what would you think based off of our analysis so far?
I think you're spot on to be thinking about the timing and the angle. Since we're heading into the holiday season and you've got Thanksgiving and Christmas right around the corner, it definitely makes sense to lean into those occasions. So instead of focusing only on the going off to college angle, you can absolutely pivot to a more holiday themed message. Think about positioning the blanket as the perfect heartfelt gift.
I tried some ads that were like, the dad around a Christmas tree and he's giving the gift to the daughter, but my results were kind of mixed. I only got one sale and my cost per click was $2.37. What do you think I should do with that campaign?
Got it. So you've tested that holiday angle a bit, and you're seeing a higher cost per click and not quite the conversion you hoped for. That's okay, it just means we might need to adjust a couple of things. First, I'd say let's look at your ad creative, and maybe the audiences you're targeting. We might want to test a slightly different creative, maybe one that really emphasizes the emotional moment in a more intimate setting, not just around the tree, but maybe in a cozy, warm home setting with a heartfelt message on screen. Also, you could try tightening up your audience targeting a bit more, maybe by layering in more specific interests or even retargeting people who've engaged with your past ads. And if that cost per click is a bit high, we can test some new hooks or even shorter, more curiosity-driven to see if we can bring that cost down. Basically,
what do you think would be a good visual hook on the screen? And then what would be a good, should I do images, videos, or a mix? And what would you recommend there?
Absolutely. A mix can often be really effective, but let's start with a strong visual hook. I'd say for something like this, you want that first frame or first couple of seconds to be really emotion driven. Think about starting the ad with a close-up of the heartfelt message on the blanket, and then quickly panning out to the dad handing it to his daughter in a cozy, warmly lit living room. That creates an immediate emotional anchor. In terms of format, videos definitely tend to grab more attention and tell the story more fully. You can have a few different cuts, like one video that shows the whole gifting moment, and then maybe a carousel or slideshow with images of the blanket, the message, and a call to action. That way you get the best of both worlds. But I definitely lean on video first for that storytelling punch, and then support it with some static images as well.
What would be like a really, really solid, punchy story that our audience would relate to? Like, based off of what we know about our audience now, can you give me like 5 different ideas, angles, if you will, on, you know, what story or what message do they want to hear, and that's going to get them to basically want to buy this and convert? Because we're really looking for sales and conversions, right?
Absolutely. Let's dive into some angles that really resonate. So given what you know about your audience, here are 5 strong storytelling angles. 1, the legacy of love angle. This story is all about a father wanting to leave a lasting message of love. The hook is that the blanket is not just a gift, it's a piece of his legacy. You show the father explaining that he wants his daughter to always remember his love, especially when he's not there in person. It's about creating a timeless keepsake that outlives moments. The protector even from afar angle. Here focus on the idea that the dad is always there to protect and support, even when they're miles apart.
Okay, so you kind of get the idea. You can also look at your transcription here of your conversation that you had. Just keep in mind that if you end the chat early, it's going to cut you off on, you know, where it was at. So it does have the past conversations that we had here, though. I think this could be really helpful for some people, for sure. Like, if this is your method of communication by default, you're not really, I guess sometimes I forget that, like, not everyone is necessarily text heavy or, you know, anything like that. So like, if you're more of the type that wants to just talk to your chat GPT, you definitely can. Don't forget that. Even on your phone, you can give chat GPT eyes. Like, you can give chat GPT vision with your camera, and then you can go around and be like, you know, how long is this opening? You know, what do I need to do to fix this thing over here? And what's, you know, in the ingredients on this bottle? And like, it has the vision to be able to see what's happening in front of it. So anyway, just keep that in mind.
So can I ask a quick question real quick? Hearing impaired, and I've never read a book in all my life. So that right that you're scrolling through is like, oh my God, never did I read that. Like, it would take me all day.
Mhm.
So when you cut it off, which I oftentimes do, and you're talking to it, can you go, oh, excuse me for cutting you off. This is a quick question, and would you continue your conversation? Will it do that?
Yeah, it'll totally do that. Yeah, if you say something like, continue your conversation, but instead of talking about, you tell it kind of like, I'm going to add in an additional question, then it'll continue where it was at. Yeah,
Thank
and here's
you.
Gemini. Gemini did generate a 4-minute long audio preview or audio overview of this. I just want to hear what it sounds like.
Okay, so you've probably seen them, right? Those super sentimental to my daughter blankets. Often they have
Oh, I expected it to be very robotic. It's actually very like personal. That's cool.
of like a big lion or maybe a wolf on them.
Oh yeah, definitely. Covered in these really
It's like podcast style. There's like 2 people talking about it.
heartfelt messages.
Exactly. And we're doing a deep dive today into why that specific kind of product is such a huge commercial success. Because, spoiler alert, it has almost nothing to do with, you know, the polyester.
Right. It's not about the textile quality. It's all about the psychology, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're looking at how they're basically selling.
That's really crazy. People are going to be listening to podcasts of people that don't exist to help them like read books or help them like digest information that's too dense. They're just going to have like, there's going to be a button that's going to be like, turn this into a podcast. And then everyone's just going to use that sort of thing, or turn this into a cartoon or whatever. And then it'll just turn the, you know, I mean, it's crazy. It's wild.
An emotional transaction.
Precisely. And it's targeted
We can speed it up too if we want to. We can do like a 1.5 to make it a little bit faster.
very, very specifically.
At the core relationship, the father who's buying it and his daughter, usually an adult daughter who receives it.
Yeah, and let's talk about that buyer for a second. The purchaser persona. We're kind of calling him the stoic protector.
Okay. Tell me more about that.
Well, he's often middle-aged, maybe older, probably socialized, you know, in a way where being overly expressive, verbally effusive wasn't really the norm.
Right. The strong, silent type, maybe. Got it. He feels things deeply but struggles to say them.
Exactly. So this blanket,
I mean, I wonder if you could even, I mean, you're allowed to download this. I wonder if you would even be able to kind of like, not to get anyone shiny object syndrome, but develop, you know, a YouTube channel or something that basically takes deep research, turns it into a little like podcast episode, and then you like post that. I don't know. Just technically, this is content right here. That 4 minute long generation. Like, how many times have we showed you like we use text to speech and CapCut, and then you do this and you do that and you do that? Well, what if we literally just click a button here and it just summarizes everything for us into 4 minutes and 40 seconds, and then we just download that and like use that potentially. But anyway, pretty crazy. Yeah, very cool. Other options here, like I said, we could do a like an infographic, a quiz, like flashcards. Flashcards might be kind of interesting for this. Let's just see. I don't know, not really necessarily, but it could be a way to condense the information down into like only the most important parts of the information, and then you can kind of quiz yourself on it. I don't know, maybe someone will find that useful. I don't buy the idea that using AI makes us like less intelligent. I actually think that as long as you're still analyzing the outputs, it's just an assistance. Like, it's just a tool, and it's not really like you still have to kind of think about what you need and if it's accurate and stuff like that. Okay, anyway, who's this product intended for? And then it goes through here, and it basically, I guess it's creating our flash cards here. 6W framework. Okay, and then it condensed this information quite a bit, so it made it much simpler. You can change the tone of this if you want to, you know, if you want to make it very casual, you can change the tone to very casual. If you want to make it very formal, make it very formal. Just something to consider. All right, so back over here. Basically, the whole overview of like why do we even, what is it, you know, I mean, why are we even so focused on like who is buying? I think one thing I really want to get across is when we first get into e-commerce, a lot of the focus goes, and look how bad these mock-ups are, by the way. Like, if you guys think your mock-ups are bad and they'll never sell, like, look at some of these are like not that good, and it still sells. But anyway, what I was originally saying, we get into e-commerce and then we start looking at like the product, and all of the focus goes on to products and products and products and products. And obviously that's what we sell. That is what we offer, what we sell. But it's not answering the like what we really need to be focused on is who is buying it, why are they buying it, where are they buying it, when are they buying it. All of the possible information that we can possibly get about our audience, because if we can understand what our audience wants, when they buy it, how they buy it, why they buy it, at what price they buy it, if we can figure out all of those puzzle pieces, then it will eventually we'll get the offer that our audience wants. And that's why I said at the beginning of this class, ideally the best case scenario would be a room full of dads, and I'm standing at the front and I say, what do you want? Like, what would you buy this year if it existed? If I could give that and create that for you and give it to you. And then they would just tell me. They'd be like, here's what I care about, here's what I want, here's what I want to see, here's what I don't like about this blanket, here's what I like about this blanket. They would just tell me. And so obviously there's options for you to do that. Like, for example, you could just email your customers, like when they buy from you, you email them and you say, hey, love that you bought our blanket. What else do you want? What else do you want to see from me? What else do you want to see from our shop? That is going directly to your audience and saying, what are you going to spend your hard-earned money on if I create it? The second best option is for us to basically take all the data that we possibly can from like reviews and stuff like that, and basically determine as accurately as we can who we're selling this to. This isn't quite as necessary here with this part here. It does kind of give us a small summary of like the blanket itself, but it doesn't tell us why someone bought it. Sometimes this really helps, sometimes it doesn't. But if you go into the actual reviews, and then a pro tip is to filter by 3 stars. Ignore the 5 stars, ignore the 1 stars, go to the 3 stars. The 3 stars can kind of give you this like realistic view of like the people that liked it, but also wanted something different. So blanket was really pretty, but the size was small. Like the blanket, but it could have been made thicker. The size is decent, but this, my daughter loved it, but it's thin. And these are the 3 stars, right? This is like the whole psychology behind the 3 stars. The blanket's pretty, but it's almost always, but then there's this issue. Just need a thicker version, etc. So from this, we could infer that if we're going to sell this blanket, we don't want to sell a cheap $36, barely like super paper thin blanket. Like we want to sell like a thick, warm Sherpa, like heavyweight $100 blanket, like weighted blanket. Like we don't want the thin stuff, right? So anyway, sometimes that helps you, sometimes it doesn't, to look at the reviews. But the whole idea being like, what does our audience want? Like what's going to get them to buy? And then focusing on the audience, not the product. The product is almost like a secondary, because there's an audience that has purchasing power, there will be products that they demand. Because someone likes cooking in their kitchen, there's going to be a demand for a whisk and an oven and all the things that they need to, you know what I'm saying. The product is secondary. That's what I'm trying to say. Your audience is primary. The people that are actually buying the stuff, that's the only reason why the products would exist in the first place. So you have to focus on the people behind the screen, not a singular product, or you will get attached to the product. And you don't want to get attached to the product. You want to get attached to the people you're selling to, especially if you're in one particular niche. If you're in one particular niche, then you've got to like care more about the audience than anything else. It's almost the old style mentality of like the customer is always right. It's almost like that mentality of like, okay, you're my audience, you're who I speak to, you're who I sell products to and offer stuff to. You're always right, so I'm just going to give you what you want, sort of thing, because I don't want to mess up our exchange where you're giving me money, that sort of thing. So like, anyway, I don't know if that kind of makes sense, but if anything you take from this class, don't just focus on the product. Ask yourself who is buying it, why are they buying it, when are they buying it, etc. All right. I used blankets this whole class, but maybe we use a different one real quick. Heated vests. This is a drop shipping product right now that is hot enough that it's actually, pun intended, that it's actually in Costco, right? It's like sitting on the shelves at Costco. I saw it there yesterday. It's a hot product. Pretty sure it's at Walmart as well. But basically it's selling like crazy, right? You know, there's a lot of, there's at least a decent amount of demand. Maybe it's not that crazy. Maybe there's a better options out there for you. I know there was like nose hair removal products. I know some of that kind of stuff is trending now. But anyway, we'll use this as an example. So you can even see in the mock-ups who the Amazon sellers are targeting. Like in the mock-ups, like sometimes they'll do like men, sometimes they'll do women, and then sometimes they'll do like maybe both. With this one, they're primarily targeting women. Like they aren't really targeting men as much, which is something that I didn't really necessarily think that much about, but it looks like they're mostly targeting women. Now that's not necessarily like, okay, we only sell to women. Maybe there's an opportunity for us to take an angle for men, if that makes sense. Like maybe they're only really trying to sell to women. Maybe our brand, our Shopify website is only focused on selling to men. And we gear our entire messaging, our entire branding, our entire everything towards outdoorsmen and stuff like that, right? And so it's like, that's just an idea. I'm not saying that's what you should do. I'm just saying that it doesn't mean that you have to, like maybe other people think that the vests look ugly. And so your company, your dropshipping company is going to focus on only the ones that are more fashionable or something. Or maybe everyone else's heated vests are 2-zoned, like they've got 2 zones, and yours has 15 zones, right? And that's why your jacket is so special. And so like, anyway, like just be thinking about stuff like that. Like, how are you angling the product for your audience? Like, what are they going to care about? And then how do you angle it that way? So, for example, pockets. How many people have bought, you know, pants in the past, they didn't have pockets, and you were just like, dang, this would be so much better if it had pockets. Like, even just like little things like this, like advertising, like, you know, our competitors, you know, don't have this option, but we do. That's what your audience, like, little things like this makes them want to like convert at a higher rate because they actually have like what they want out of it, if that makes sense. Really, it's just listening to your customers, and then not just in the product giving them what they want, because obviously we can't control the product as much. If we wanted to go over to China and we wanted to submit plans for changing the product up and all that stuff, like, we could, but we're not doing that. We're doing, you know, print on demand, drop shipping, content as currency. Like, we're not going over to China to custom manufacture something. So we don't have as much control over the product necessarily. So again, it comes back around to, how do we get this in front of the person that wants to buy it at the right time, for the right reasons, right? The right demographics. Now, this is more of a broad audience, so it's a little bit hard to tell like exactly who you would focus on, but that's when you start trying out a couple different audiences. Maybe you try out targeting nurses at first, and then you change it up and you start targeting like trash workers, like people that are outside all day doing trash stuff. I don't know. Like, you try different angles of like who you might target. Now, those might not be the best examples. Like, you might want to go a little more broad, but like, if, for example, just men and women. Let's just say that. For one thing, you might try targeting women, and if that doesn't work and you're not really seeing the success you want with that, you might switch it up and start talking to the men and be like, okay, men, here's our new and improved outdoor hunting heated vest. It's not just a heated vest, it's our outdoorsman updated hunter's heated vest. And you talk to that specific person, and then maybe they wouldn't have bought the heated vest, but now maybe because it's angled towards being like something they would take fishing and hunting, and it's an outdoorsman type thing, like, maybe then you see something start to convert at that angle because you're talking to that audience, and that audience hasn't been properly served yet. Anyway, so think about the people you're selling to, the mock-ups that you create mock-ups that relate to the people you're selling to, create ads that relate to the people you're selling to. If you're selling pet stuff, your mock-ups should probably have a pet in the mock-up somewhere. There's no reason not to, because like, if you're doing a Facebook ad and you're running something to like pet lovers, like, there's a very good chance that you know, they convert at a higher rate if you give them what they want to see, you know, which is pets, and which is like funny pet portraits and stuff like that. So your mock-ups and your demographics data, like, remember how the demographics data for the blanket was basically dads 40 plus, like 40 years and older. If we did a mock-up with I don't know, a grandmother holding the blanket, and it's the dad to daughter blanket, it wouldn't make sense. It doesn't resonate with the audience. It doesn't make any sense. Like, why is grandma holding a blanket that's dad to daughter, and you have to like, kind of like how we created an ad where, you know, this scenario here makes sense to the target audience. This is something that would relate to the person that would buy this. Whereas, you know, a different type of mock-up wouldn't relate to that demographic. So you really want to put on your marketer's cap and think about this stuff, but also, if you don't want to do that manually, you can definitely use the AI tools like we did here today, and it will give you plenty to think about. All right, I guess I will wrap it up there. Your homework assignment, if you haven't already, is to really come up with like a few target audiences that, or one target person that's in your niche, that you could target and talk to in that specific way. Like at this point, if we went over here and we said, you know, make the tone as if it were a dad talking to daughter, like you can change the tone of everything. You can ask any questions about, you know, your research here in ChatGPT. You can ask it all about it. You could be like, you know, if I run these demographics for targeting, will this be likely to sell or whatever? And it'll at least give you some insight on, like, you know, is that a good idea or is it not? Is it going to touch our audience or not? It gives us angle ideas of different stories we could tell. A story about a father wanting to leave a lasting message of love. Maybe the story shows the dad actually crafting the blanket. He's like, I don't know. Maybe he's like sewing the blanket or something. There's a shot of him sewing it and he's wiping away tears. And then it's like you show the father sitting down with his daughter and explaining to her that he will always love her and that he made her this blanket and all this stuff. Anyway, and then obviously you offer the same thing to the person that's watching the ad. But if you want to adapt this for social media, you know, adapt. Let's say write a tearjerker story for TikTok that leads to the reveal of this blanket and a CTA to go grab one. So it's literally doing the work for me, right? Doing the work for me here. It's writing a story for TikTok that will lead to the reveal of this blanket, and then it writes the story for me. We could turn these into prompts, right? Yeah. Yeah, this is actually pretty good. Yep. Yep. This is something I would expect to see on like a TV ad almost, right? It's like a whole, and this is for TikTok, right? This is a TikTok script. It's a tearjerker script, so it's supposed to kind of get you in the feels. So dimly lit living room, a middle-aged dad sits at a table with a cup of coffee. His hands shake slightly as he looks at a photo of his daughter. This is a hook, right? The text on the screen, this is a hook. He never really said it out loud, but she always knew. What did she always know? What did he not say out loud? What is he feeling when he's looking at the photo of his daughter and his hands are shaking? All of these things hook the viewer and get them to get invested in the video. Now they're invested. They can't help but be curious. Curiosity killed the cat, right? They're going to get sucked into our video, hopefully, if we execute this properly. The audio is just sentimental music, right? Soft piano, cinematic guitar, whatever. Ooh. You can choose a popular song on TikTok. That's one of the nice things about TikTok is you can just literally choose like "Daughter" by Loud Forest, and like literally you can just have that playing in your TikTok video. Scene 2, building the emotion. So this is kind of like introducing the problem, kind of, and then scene 2 is kind of like building the problem. So father is wrapping a box carefully, trembling hands. A card sits beside it, but it's blank. He picks up the pen, writes "Love, Dad," and then hesitates. He looks down. Too many emotions to say everything that he feels. The voiceover. He wasn't good with words, but he wanted her to feel what he could never say. Ooh. Ooh, that's a good one. Cut 2. He tucks a folded blue blanket inside of the box. We're curious. We're curious. We're still curious as the viewer. We're like, you know, what does the blanket say? What did Dad want to say? What did he really feel? All that stuff. Scene number 3, the reveal. Cut to his daughter, maybe in a dorm, her firstborn in her car, leaving for college. She opens the box slowly. She folds the blanket and sees the message. I can't promise to be here for the rest of your life, but I can promise to love you for the rest of mine. And then there's a audio cue. These are what we call audio cues. How many of you guys remember laugh tracks from like sitcoms? Those were audio cues. How many of you guys have ever watched a movie and as it's building towards the climax or a really emotional moment, the music starts to build with it and it starts to get more emotional as it gets closer to that moment? This is a cue for someone to feel something. Like, I went to a live orchestra the other night and there were plenty of moments where like things would be upbeat and like, you know, a little bit happier and stuff, and then there were other moments where things were much slower, and there were cues as to what you should be feeling like through that music, if that makes sense. So if you're gonna do this style of video, if you're doing a video and you're telling a story, you should probably build the music up throughout it. It should get a little bit louder as it goes, and then there should be like almost a clash of cymbals and like a big moment in the music whenever the daughter covers her mouth and she starts to cry, right? There should be like a big like emotional moment in the music. And then text on the screen, she's calling him crying. He just said, I meant every word. And then he says, I meant every word. And then scene number 4 is the emotional call to action. So close up of the message on the blanket draped over her shoulders like a hug. It's more than a blanket, it's a hug that lasts forever. Get yours today before the holidays, link in bio, or every daughter deserves to feel this loved. Something like that. I also like using like share love with your family. I think it actually gets people to share it more often too when I use that call to action. Like they actually view it as a literal, oh, I'm gonna go share this post like with my family. But I'm obviously talking about like share your love as in like go buy this and go share them your love. But they also share the post too. So anyway, optional variations, you've got, you know, basically you could use AI generated or human male voice with a soft fatherly tone. And then it says basically visual hook options start with a close-up, a message close-up, and then basically the text on the screen here. So really good. It says here, would you like me to write 2 alternate versions, one for Christmas and one for graduation moving away? We could say yes. And then it would write some more options for us here. I could also tell it to turn these into prompts. So if I wanted to just have it turn into prompts and, you know, you can copy and paste those prompts and make images out of it or something like that. Like you could do that. You can really get quite a bit out of a ChatGPT if you just ask it for what you need. Yeah. Dad's alone at the kitchen table, surrounded by wrapping paper, ornaments glowing in the background, etc. So pretty much the same thing, but Christmas themed. And then this one is more graduation themed here. Dad sitting on the edge of the bed of the daughter's bed while she packs boxes. Yeah, so it can be, I'm just going to throw this out there, it can be a little bit more challenging to sell to men. Men are typically a little bit more in the logical brain. They're a little bit more like practical and logical. Women, I might get in trouble for saying this, women are just a little bit more emotionally driven. Typically, if you put out some emotional benefits and value, then it's easier to convert women. If you have something practical, like look at how much space this saves, look at how much money you save, that's more men, easier to sell to men, because you're like, look at how logical this is. You know, you're gonna save money. You're gonna have a multi-tool that combines 3 of your tools into one, and then the guy is like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Or you're gonna have something heavy duty that you know, that lasts forever. Then a guy might be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. It's gonna save me money and stuff. But Michael brought up a good point. You know, there are a lot of women that will shop for their men, for sure. And so when you target women, you can also sell men's products through women. So meaning, let's say you have like something that a man would use, more geared, like focused towards men. Like, you know, ratchet straps, the Rhino ratchet straps, love them. They're amazing. But I'm the one that was interested in those, and so like my wife bought those for me, but she may have seen the ad or she may have seen the TikTok organic post where the guy was using them and showing them how they work and stuff, and then she bought them for me. So it's like, you can still sell men's products by targeting women. And anyway, it's just something to consider. Definitely go to ChatGPT, just like we did in this class. Put in your product link, and then have it at, basically the prompts that I put in at the beginning here. I'll put it in one more time. Ask it for the who, what, when, where, why. You can also phrase it as the 6 W's. I think I actually missed some of them. There's more than that. Who, what, when, where, why, how, and there's probably one more. But anyway, let me put this prompt back in here one more time. That'll give you a lot of detail for, at least getting you started on figuring out who your audience is. You can even be more specific and say, like, are they men? Are they women? Are they old? Are they young? Etc. And then let's make sure we're muted real quick. And then basically, oh, I forgot there was something else I was going to show you real quick. Oh yeah, so another thing that you might want to get out of like your target audience is to really understand what's their pains, like what's their deeper psychological pains, and then what's their motivations, right? So what are my target audience's pains, even subconscious, like they don't even realize it's a pain, and what do they want to gain / motivations. Everything in life is, human beings at least are motivated by the fear of loss or pain, and then they're also motivated by the possibility of gain, the opportunity of gain. Problem is, people naturally are more instinctive to avoid pain than they are to go after something that they want. We're more risk adverse. We're more risk adverse than a lot of people won't start a business because it's risky and stuff like that. So it's like their pains, their pleasures, people's pains, and their fear of what might happen usually outweighs what they could get through like a motivational like gain of some kind. A great example is if you are like if you're wanting to invest in something, a lot of people like the like guaranteed return because they don't want to anyway. So there's a lot of that. Anyway, so core pains for this audience, right? We want to know like what are their pains, what are their gains. One of their pains might be the inability to express love verbally. So he feels love very deeply, but he doesn't know how to express it. That might be one of the pains. And then the subconscious layer would be, if I can't say it, maybe she doesn't know how much I care, or maybe she'll never know. Or you could even almost take it deeper, and not to get too dark, but almost something that's like, if I were to die today, she may not know how I feel about her, right? Isn't that kind of like a core fear that people have? I don't know, I think it is. So like, that could be one of the core fears that like, that person could be feeling. Fear and emotional distance, losing connection. So losing connection over time, maybe that's one of the deeper fears that they have, is like that they're going to lose connection. If they move off to college, they're not going to be close anymore, or they get married, or they start their own family or something like that. He misses being the protector. He misses being the hero. Physical or emotional disturbances make him feel like he's fading out of her world. That's interesting. And the subconscious layer would be, she's building her own life. Maybe she doesn't need me anymore. Okay, so these are obviously kind of hard to like, but this is your audience's like pains. Like this would be like stuff that they subconsciously or consciously feel. Guilt over missed time, so long work hours, divorce, or years when he wasn't emotionally available. This is something I wasn't even. This is why using ChatGPT is really helpful, because you may know a couple reasons. You might kind of have some ideas of like a couple different things, but then like guilt over missed time is not even something I've seen anyone try and target when they're selling these blankets. Like, what if your ads was more so targeting like, somehow like, did I do enough? Have you done enough? That sort of thing. This blanket will help you show how much you care. Fear of mortality, desire for legacy, a creeping awareness that life is finite, wants to leave something behind that says what he couldn't. So kind of the same thing I said a minute ago. She's far away, going through challenges he can't fix, so kind of feeling helpless when she's hurting. Yeah, okay. Core gains, emotional release and expression. This blanket gives him emotional permission to share. Like, it kind of gives him an opportunity and like an open door to go and share. Validation, connection. Here's the phone call. Yeah. This moment right here is what a lot of dads are really hoping happens, is some sort of like, once they give the gift or once they mail the gift and they open it, they're going to call them and they're going to be crying or they're going to be very emotional and they're going to be like, I read the blanket, I love it, etc. And that's confirmation and validation that dad is loved too, and that dad still matters too, and that his daughter will pick up the phone and call him, sort of thing. So, anyway, yeah, all of this stuff is great. I'm not going to go too much into this because we're already over time and stuff. I want to answer a couple questions here. So, we got 3 questions, and then we're going to end the call. Lisa.
Okay, question. With ChatGPT, I have been trying to give them a video to watch, and they're telling me that they can't watch the video. Is that
Upload it
normal?
to Gemini. Yeah, that's normal. ChatGPT can't do it. Upload it to Gemini.
Oh, okay.
Yep. All right,
Okay,
thank you.
that's it.
And then Michael.
Yeah. How often, because you're using this to create ad videos to post, correct? To point back to a product, yes?
Yeah. In that case, it would be like videos, yeah, and ads, yeah.
So you created, for instance, you just whipped out 3 scripts just like that for the same product. So how often is it okay to post videos for the exact same product? Can you just post them one after the other, or should you wait a couple of days to post the next one on that particular product? How does that work?
When it comes to videos and stuff, the last example was kind of more so for like TikTok, but with Facebook ads, it's really the pace that you want to test at. And I mean, it really can scale to where like there are people out there with huge budgets, with massive design teams that are testing out hundreds of ads per day, all that. We're obviously not at that scale. So it's just really like $5 a day per campaign, and you're testing out 1 video per campaign probably if you're going to do it that way. And then if you have other videos to test out, probably just create a separate campaign for it. You could put all your videos into one campaign if you want to do it that way, but it's going to spend very slowly on each video. So it's basically how fast do you want to get data back. If you want to get data back much faster, then you would test more ads and you would test at a slightly higher budget. If you're trying to conserve your budget and you're not worried about getting data quickly, you just want to conserve your budget, then that's whenever you might test 1 video at a time at $5 a day and you're not really testing anything else. So.
Okay, I'm sorry, I misled you. I wasn't
Oh, you're
really
good.
talking about Facebook ads right then. I was
Okay,
talking
yeah.
more about social platforms.
Yeah.
How often you can post those types of video ads with CTAs to go back to.
Oh, I got you.
Shopify
Yeah, I mean,
or whatever.
realistically, I don't think there's really any limits as long as you're like changing the video up and it's not the same video over and over again. I think you should be fine to do kind of however many.
Okay, so you could technically, you could do all 3 of them, whip them out, as long as they're different. But
Yep.
it could be the same product, just different videos.
Yeah.
And you can post them on the same day.
Yep. Yeah, you could post those on the same day. And I put a little bit of space in between posting, like, post 1 video in the morning, 1 at lunch, and 1 in the evening or something like that. You should be fine. Yeah.
Okay, cool, thank you.
Yep, no problem. And then Fox 12.
Hi, Coach. This is Glenda.
Hey, Glenda.
Hi. Okay. When you're on chat, I noticed that your response to him and his response to you is a little bit different than Coach Reggie. So we have to make it more personable.
It kind of becomes that way over time. Like it starts to kind of understand who you are and how you talk, and then it'll start to talk to you that way, kind of. But I imagine if you just opened up your ChatGPT and you just said in voice mode, I want you to act this way or do this thing. And what's also kind of cool is I can talk to it live and tell it what I want to. So if I open up voice mode, hey, so act like a drunk Yoda and tell me about my customer audience for this blanket.
Drunk Yoda I am, yes.
Oh my goodness.
Your cu-
Yeah. So like, yeah, it's pretty cool. So
Okay,
if you're looking for like a
Yes,
different
ooh,
tone,
like a tipsy little.
he was still talking. If you're looking for like a certain tone, I think the fastest way to change that would be like in your settings, and then
Okay, I was just, I just noticed that, and that's fine. I just wanted to get the correct understanding. I just wanted to know
Yeah.
how to approach it. Okay, very good. I thank you so much.
yeah, no problem.
That's a good one. That
And
was
yeah,
good.
no problem. And you might even be able to say like in voice mode, be more straightforward with me, or you know, something like that, or talk like Gordon Ramsay, or whatever it is you're wanting to do. So yeah, I think that
Okay.
might work too. You may try that out.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you. And then real quick, I saw someone's question really, really quick because I think it is a powerful part of ChatGPT that sometimes is easy to miss. I'm going to share my phone screen because someone was asking how to enable the camera on your phone. Share. This will only be on your phone. I don't think you can really do it on your computer. Okay, so I'm in ChatGPT, and then let me turn on this thing here so I can show you what I'm clicking. I can click this right here to start the voice mode, this little white circle like right here. Click on that. And then I can click on this camera right here. So right here is a camera, and if I click on that, it will basically open up my camera. And then I can start talking to ChatGPT. I've got it muted right now, but I can start talking to it. Hey, so can you tell me a little bit about this microphone and what audience might be interested in this microphone here? And also, can you go ahead and find the product on Amazon and link me back to it?
Absolutely. So that microphone you've got there is a Blue Yeti, which is a pretty popular USB mic, especially for podcasters, streamers, and people doing voiceovers. It's kind of a classic. The audience for it is basically anyone who wants good quality sound without diving into complicated audio gear. So content creators, gamers, even folks running online meetings.
Go ahead and summarize this section right here for me with what we're looking at.
Yeah, sure. So it looks like you're showing me a page from your notebook, and you've got a few.
So you can summarize different things, right? You know, so anyway, I don't know. Just using your camera to be able to show off different stuff to ChatGPT allows it to basically process what's happening in the world around you. And there's so many, like there's someone right now on YouTube that's building out their attic by using this feature. They'll show ChatGPT their attic, and then they are like ChatGPT is telling them like what parts they need in order to like finish it out and build it out and stuff. And like this is technically kind of like a preview of probably what's going to happen with robotics and stuff. Like this can have vision of what's around it, kind of like Tesla's cars and stuff like that. So anyway, really cool that we can do that. Really cool that we can just pull up the camera and ask ChatGPT more about what's happening in the actual world around us. We could show a symbol. We could translate in real time. If I'm in China and I hold up ChatGPT with the camera on and I say translate this, it'll translate it for me, right? Yeah. So anyway, really cool. If you guys find that if it's something maybe you haven't been exposed to before, definitely mess around with it. It could be valuable. All right, so that's gonna be it for today's class. Sorry for keeping you longer. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.